Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the CiL Formula C Championship. I'm your broadcaster for this evening, Matthew Nordberg, and we're here at the beautiful WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. We are in for a good race tonight. Current weather looking right now, 65 degrees ambient temperature, a bit cloudy with low winds around this hilly circuit in the hills of California near Monterey, California. Current track length, well, always the same track length around here, 2.2 miles. Track tip sitting about 76 degrees Fahrenheit right now. It's 747 feet in altitude, but we are in for a good race tonight as our drivers begin the process to start their qualifying session. If you're new here in the CiL, the CiL Formula C Series takes the best collegiate iRacers across multiple countries, Canada, United States, as well as even some European and South American countries, and puts them in the iRacing Formula IR04 car, the open wheel race car developed by iRacing in conjunction with Dallara. We see on track now. We have some of our drivers beginning their qualifying session. Drivers have 12 minutes. It's an open qualifying session, so drivers can get out on track whenever they so please. We're taking a look around the track right now. Currently, a couple drivers up there. You see Jeremy Rogers, Christian Hill, Chris Preston, Gavin Keithley, all cars on track right now. Looking at a few of our drivers warming up right now. Looking at Chris Preston out of Fanshawe College in Canada. A wide variety of drivers out here in this series. Right in front of him, that looks to be Jeremy Rogers out of Texas A&M University. Looks like he got in the back of him a little bit there. Looks like Chris was being a bit of a unsporting driver there. A little unfortunate, but it's going to give both of them a bit of damage, and probably neither of them are going to warm up as we see drivers begin their are starting to begin their laps now. See if we can get the timing table up. I don't think we can because no drivers have set times yet, but drivers beginning their qualifying lap. We're going to go here with Jordan Johnson out of Kent State University. Jordan Johnson, currently one of our leading drivers in the series right now. In last time out in Interlagos, he won the first race of the evening and came second in the second race. For those of you new to the CiL, you're going to see drivers with a variety of digits in their number. If you see a driver with either 1 or 2 digits in their number, that means that they're a student. In the CiL, we do have students and alumni facing against each other. In the Formula C Series, there's no separation, so alumni and students are competing for the same points. See Jordan Johnson, you're coming up to the iconic corkscrew, gets on the brakes well, and is able to get through the corkscrew pretty smoothly, no incidents. It's very easy to lock up the brakes and go a bit deeper than you intend to around this iconic track at Laguna Seca. But as I was saying, drivers with 2 numbers and the blue trim on their halo and rear wing are students. If you see 3-digit numbers and red for the trim on the halo and wing, that is an alumni, but they are fighting for the same points. As we see timing start to come across the board here, our Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University setting the fastest time so far with a 121.193. Jordan Johnson not far behind him. And we see our times start to get populated here. Thomas Toomey, Parker Eaton, your leading alumni right now. Those 2 veterans of the CiL out of University of Virginia and NC State University, respectively. See more times come across the board, but our Muhammad Alif currently sitting on provisional pole after 3.5 minutes in this qualifying session. And take a look with Parker Eaton here. Parker Eaton out of the North Carolina State University running that red-black machine. Up the hill towards the corkscrew. This is going to be a great spot for overtaking all night if he can get a run out of turn 6. Corkscrew, it's for the brave to overtake, but if you can get it done on the brakes, you certainly can overtake. You see, looks like maybe it was Gavin Keithley off the track there, out the corkscrew. It's hard to tell, but it looks like it to be a University of Minnesota car. I believe Gavin Keithley out of University of Minnesota. But you might have remembered me saying earlier that our last race, Jordan Johnson at Interlagos, he won the first race, came second in the second. Well, if you're new to the CiL or new to the Formula C Series in general, these drivers do partake in 2 races per night. Your first race of the night is set by this qualifying session right now. First race is 20 minutes long. After the first race, there's a little bit of a break, and then the second race is set up by the grid from the first race. So the top 12 in race 1 are inverted for race 2. You finish 12th in race 1, you start on pole position for race 2. Gives our drivers a bit of a chance to show off some of their speed, even if they don't finish well in race 1, as we see Parker Eaton on board here from the Halo cam. Up in 5th gear right now, going down towards the next corner. This is a tricky corner. You got to carry a lot of speed through here. It's very deceptive, you know, especially in these higher downforce cars, lighter cars like the IR04. You can definitely carry a lot of speed as he goes through turn 6 now, up towards the corkscrew. A little bit of a wheel in the dirt there. You got to be careful because it is very, very easy to put a tire in the dirt there and just spin out and lose all sorts of traction and grip as Parker Eaton comes down through the corkscrew now. Very nicely done. He's able to keep it tidy through there. Coming down through this last sector. Also, this corner here, very deceptive. You know, you think you have a lot more runoff than you actually do. Looks like Parker maybe got the back end loose a little bit there, but coming around to the final corner now, hard on the brakes. You want to be able to have a great exit out of here and use all the runoff you can on the outside. Plenty of runoff, no risk of an off track there. So you see someone from Clemson University spin behind Parker as Parker Eaton out of NC State University, the alumni, comes across the line now. He could not improve on his best time. So he's still going to be 7th position. Another newcomer to the CiL this season is Zachary DeWale. Zachary DeWale out of St. Clair College in Canada, driving that O2 machine. He's been a contender in a lot of races this year so far, especially on the oval side. We saw him win last week's CiL Oval Premier Series race at Texas Motor Speedways. You see him get a little bit loose out of the corner there. Got to catch the back end with a little counter steer. Great onboard shot there showing the handwork coming out of DeWale. Zachary DeWale currently sitting in the 4th position right now, about 6/10 back from our pole position time from R. Muhammad Alif. As Zachary DeWale is just going to pull off to the side there. He's not happy with that lap. As look at Nicholas Daly out of UT Arlington running that 280 machine. You can tell he's an alumni by that bright red halo and the red trim on his rear wing. See him coming through the first sector now. This tricky corner, turn 5, I believe. It's always difficult. You see, you get a little bit wide there. It's so deceptive because you need to carry so much speed through the corner, but you can't get too wide because there's not a whole lot of runoff there. There's pretty much dirt on the end of that corner. Coming up with the corkscrew now. Someone gets out of the way. I can't tell quite who that is, but make sure he doesn't interfere with Nicholas Daly's lap here. Currently sitting in P4, about 4/10 behind R. Muhammad Alif, as it looks like Chris Preston just jumped up to 3rd with the 121.56. Ted Burns follows him with the 121.52. As we'll see as times improve here, the track rubbers up maybe. Cars might be able to find a little bit more grip as Daly goes nice and wide using all the runoff he can. As Daly comes across the line now, he's unable to improve on his best lap time. Looks like he had a 123.25, so maybe he was held up a little bit there on that last lap. Taking a look on the timing screen now, we have the best times up. R. Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University, still currently sitting in our provisional pole position. 3/4 of the way through, that's 2/3 of the way through. 8 divided by 12 is not 3/4. But R. Muhammad Alif, 2/3 of this way through qualifying session with a 121.193, a blistering time around here at Laguna Seca. R. Muhammad Alif showing his speed last week as he's trading places with Jordan Johnson. Jordan Johnson finishing 1st and then 2nd in the races at Interlagos. R. Muhammad Alif finishing 2nd and 1st. So those two guys have a bit of speed, and I expect to see that battle they had in Interlagos carry through to this race as well. As we see a car spin out in front of R. Muhammad Alif. Can't tell who that is, but hopefully this wouldn't impact his lap here. He seems to be on a bit of a flyer as the car up in front of him might be slowing him down. Can't quite tell who that is from here, but he gets out of the way and lets Alif have the corner. Him through this last corner now. That might have cost him a little bit of time not being on the exact outside of the track as R. Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University in that 12 machine comes across the line now. Cannot improve on his best time. He set a 121.193 last time, or his fastest lap. But Nicholas Daly out of University of Texas at Arlington sets a 121.092. That's the new benchmark time to beat. He's about a 10th quicker than R. Muhammad Alif's best time. So it's going to be a very close battle at the top between a lot of these drivers. Further back through the field, Daniel Hunter right now out of St. Clair College, running the 49 machine, comes through that tricky left-hander that's caught so many drivers out. We talked about it earlier. That's turn 6. It's really hard for drivers to get the power down out of there because if you get on the power too quickly, you run out of track and then you spin out. You see Hunter goes a little bit deep there into the corkscrew. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. As you see this onboard shot coming through turn 8A and 9 now. It's just, excuse me, 10 now. So tricky with these cars given how low you are to the ground. It can be hard to see your apexes sometimes. So you kind of just have to have a feel for where your car is going to be on the track and how to accelerate out of some of these corners as Daniel Hunter crosses the line. That last lap time was a 1:23.58, so not his best lap time. His drivers continue to cross. It looks like a few of these drivers are going to be finishing or starting their final laps now in this qualifying session. Nicholas Daly still currently on provisional pole position with a 1:21.092. He just had a 1:21.159, so he's still trying to get a fast lap time as car spins out in front of Daniel Hunter here. It continues to set fast laps. You see Rhett Crane here a little bit further through the field in 12th position. He's currently best time on 1:22.523 out of Ball State University. You're hearing the names Ball State and St. Clair College a lot tonight. And that's because these universities, they give a lot of support to their esports programs, and iRacing is no exception. These schools definitely see iRacing as an opportunity to expand their brand and really help these students out, give them a platform to build on their skills and really compete in a competitive environment. You know, even though some of these drivers might have different skill levels, I think the competitiveness throughout the field is definitely something that's appealing in the CIL. Even if you're racing for 12th, 13th, 14th, those guys are still going to be fighting hard. They still want to put on for their school. There's a bit of school pride here. You don't want to be dead last for your school. Much like in the same way, like, football teams want to win to put on a good show and represent their school well. These drivers want to do well to represent their schools here tonight. Even though there's no money on the line, anything like that, there is prestige, and winning a race here, doing well, it's something to be proud of for these drivers. And even though the cars might not be real, the racing definitely is real, as the old motto goes. As car spins out behind, Rhett Crane there in the 6th car out of Ball State. Qualifying comes to an end now. Looking like Nicholas Daly, our pole position winner for tonight. As we take a quick look through the grid, Nicholas Daly out of the University of Texas at Arlington sets your pole position time with a 1:21.092. Our Muhammad Alif out of Ball State in second. On his outside was Chris Preston and Jordan Johnson rounding out row 2. Ted Burns out of University of Wisconsin and Parker Eaton round out a row 3 full of CIL veterans, and Zachary DeWale alongside the newcomer alongside the veteran Thomas Toomey from University of Virginia. Jeremy Rogers from Texas A&M on the inside, Daniel Hunter in row 5 with Zach Lindler and Rhett Crane rounding out row 6. Row 7 is Austin DeLong and Tyler Stone. 15th and 16th, Louis Diaz and Alexander Pacini. 17th, 18th, Culpa and Walters. 19th, 20, Athena Leclerc out of St. Clair College with Joshua Teagues out of Buena Vista University in 20th. Christian Hill in 21st with Gavin Keithley, 22nd. Thomas Crumpson, 23rd, and Andrew Williams in 24th. Rounding out your field, Nick Stockner in 25th out of Clemson, with 26th being Alexander Hogarth, and 28th, Ethan Head out of the University of Tennessee. Well, this race sure is something to be ready for. I think we're going to see a lot of good racing here out of these drivers as we get a look down the field right now. Looking at your pole position driver, Nicholas Daly, driving that 280 machine out of the University of Texas at Arlington. Great looking race car there. It's definitely going to be something to watch tonight as these drivers continue to grid up. About 30 seconds left or so for this gridding process for these drivers to take advantage and make sure that they get on the grid. Don't want to have a pit lane start here. About 15 seconds left till the green light goes out. These drivers anxiously awaiting the green lights. One thing they do have to avoid here, though, are any potential false starts. You don't want to go off the line a little too early. And with the CIL, this is the only series that does standing starts. As the cars get ready to go green here. And we are green from Laguna Seca for the West Coast Grand Prix in the CIL Formula C Series. Great start from Nicholas Daly, but alongside him, our Muhammad Alif falls in behind as they go down into turn 1. Looks like Jordan Johnson's going to be trying to make it too wide behind, trying to go around the outside of Alif for second position right now. Cars file down into turn 1, 3 wide in the back as some cars go, and they single out. No incidents so far, though. We continue to look throughout the field. Action side by side. It's Ted Burns going side by side with Chris Preston, the alumni versus student in that battle right there. It looks like Ted Burns comes out on top. Chris Preston continues to lose spots to Parker Eaton out of NC State University behind them, and they continue to make their way up to turn 5. Looks like there's a crash in the back of the field. Daniel Hunter out of St. Clair College might have gotten in to the side of somebody or spun around as we look back up to the front. Nicholas Daly is side by side with R. Muhammad Alif going towards the corkscrew, is able to defend the position, and Jordan Johnson is trying to get a nose in there, seeing if he can maybe gain second position from R. Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University. Jordan Johnson really haggling the back of Alif right now. These two have been fighting all season long for the top spot on the podium, but as these guys continue on their way to finish the first lap, your leader from pole position, Nicholas Daly out of UT Arlington. Behind him, R. Muhammad Alif out of Ball State, and Jordan Johnson rounds out your top 3. R. Muhammad chasing down Nicholas Daly into the braking zone to turn 1. As you look behind, looks like Ted Burns deep on the brakes trying to get past Jordan Johnson there. Unable to get it done. That was a risky move, but Ted Burns is wasting no time right now as he tries to move up through the field. Ted Burns started in 5th position. He's up 1 spot. Chris Preston right now, our biggest loser off the start, down 3 positions. Actually, take that back. Looks like Daniel Hunter, we mentioned that he had a bit of an incident earlier in a crash. He's down 10 spots, but for drivers still on the racetrack, Chris Preston down 3. Our biggest mover at the moment, Andrew Williams and Nicholas Stockner, both up 6 positions. Ted Burns here, still trying to get past Jordan Johnson. Looks like Jordan Johnson went a little bit wide there. Might have a chance for Ted Burns to make a move down the inside at the corkscrew. Looks like he's not going to be able to get it done right now. Nicholas Daly still holding off R. Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University. Jordan Johnson follows both of them behind, but Ted Burns out of the University of Wisconsin is sniffing blood in the water. He sees another position on the table if Jordan Johnson makes a mistake here. We mentioned Chris Preston. He lost a couple spots off the start of this race, but it looks like he's gaining some ground back now as he is hustling the back of Parker Eaton out of NC State University. We have student on alumni action right here as we see he can't quite get there in turn 1, but it looks like maybe a little bit of a touch there, locking the brakes from Chris Preston, excuse me. Looks like he might have gotten in the back of Parker Eaton there, but no harm, no foul as the cars continue to go line astern right now. Laguna Seca can be quite a tricky place to overtake, so it's going to take all the skill these drivers have to try and overtake one another, or a mistake from a driver. Mistakes can be so easily done around here. There is no runoff. It's just dirt. And dirt, as we all know, has a bit less grip than this nice sticky black asphalt that these cars drive on. Up through the corkscrew here. Parker Eaton a little bit wide. Parker Eaton on spins on the exit of the corkscrew. He's able to keep it out of the wall just barely, but Parker Eaton took a little bit too much curb there, and he just found his wheels in the gravel, and there's absolutely no grip there. We'll get a replay of that here in a momentarily. Here we see a replay from Parker Eaton. Yeah, just rear wheels in the gravel, and once you get on the gas and the gravel there, it's impossible to keep any traction on the car, and you just spin. It's so easy to do that. As we look back towards the front now, it looks like Parker Eaton lost 8 spots from that, currently sitting 14th, but he'll have a chance to make up some time later on and hopefully get back up into that top 12 for the reverse grid pole. Elsewhere through the field right now is Zachary DeWale out of University of St. Clair College, holding on to that 6th position right now. He's in a battle with Thomas Toomey, the 166 machine out of the University of Virginia. That alumni has been a CiL veteran for many a season, and he's looking to move himself up 1 more spot against this newcomer student in Zachary DeWale. Looks like we might have had a spin up at the front. Looks like Chris Preston might be losing some positions right now. Nah, just a error in the timing screen at the moment, but going back to the battle there with DeWale and Toomey. Thomas Toomey still hustling the back of DeWale right now, but behind them, Jeremy Rogers, currently sitting in 8th position, is kind of hunting his prey, seeing if there's any, if these two will slow each other down while racing. Last time by, the fastest car was Jordan Johnson with a 121.24. Excuse me, yes, a 121.24. His fastest lap of the race and the fastest lap around that track on that lap. Was Thomas Toomey seems to have a bit of a position on the inside that it looks like Zachary DeWale made a mistake, and that's going to let Thomas Toomey as well as Jeremy Rogers by. Looks like DeWale might have gotten a little bit loose out of it. Looked like to be turn 3. And he's just going to have to concede that position as he gets loose again, trying to regain that spot from Thomas Toomey, Jeremy Rogers, as they continue to head up towards turn 6 here, towards the corkscrew now, as Jeremy Rogers is able to take advantage of a Zachary DeWale mistake. DeWale losing 2 spots on that last corner. Looking back towards the front, it looks like Jordan Johnson has found lots of pace in that car right now. He's just passed Muhammad Ali for second, and now he's eyeing up Nicholas Daly for first, but he goes a little bit wide on the gravel there, is able to collect it barely, and he almost takes out a leaf there from Ball State, and he's not going to give any quarter as the two touch coming out of the last corner are Muhammad Ali and Jordan Johnson. There is no love lost between those two drivers, bumping wheels, taking positions where they can, and Jordan Johnson is able to hold on through that second to last corner after going onto the gravel. Really, really close there between those two cars. That could have ended up much, much worse than it did. I'm sure Alif is not happy with how Johnson rejoined the track, and he's going to be asking for an unsafe rejoin penalty, but these cars exited the last corner in the same order that they went into it. As Jordan Johnson again gets really wide onto the gravel. Jordan Johnson looks like he just might have tons of understeer in that car right now. Super hard for him to control. He's going to have to get it under control here if he's going to want to chase down Nicholas Daly for the lead as we are approaching the halfway point in this race. As I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, these races are 20 minutes long, right? And it's up to the leader, really, to decide when he crosses that last lap, once it hits 20 minutes. If he wants to, I'm sure he could slow down the pace a little bit, but realistically, I don't think these drivers have any interest in slowing down as Muhammad Ali gets a little crazy going out of the corkscrew there. That was looked like he was super loose, but these front three of Nicholas Daly, Jordan Johnson, and Muhammad Ali are pulling away from the pack right now. The closest car behind these three is Chris Preston, about 2.7 seconds behind, and it's much more spread out behind them. Going back to the field, we were looking on board with Jeremy Rogers earlier. It looks like Jeremy Rogers, he was sitting in about, I believe he was 7th after we saw him pass DeWale due to a mistake, but it looks like Jeremy Rogers has made a mistake himself out of the University of Texas A&M. Excuse me, Texas A&M University. I got it backwards there. That Aggie machine is unable to hold on to positions right now, and after that mistake, it looks like he's going to lose a spot to Austin DeLong out of the Pennsylvania College of Technology. Austin DeLong in that 22 machine. Not a newcomer to the CiL. He's got plenty of experience in road and oval. We see he competes in as many series as he can, and he's definitely a regular face around here in the CiL. But back up at the front, Nicholas Daly under extreme pressure from Jordan Johnson here. Jordan Johnson out of Kent State University is really haggling this 280 machine for Nicholas Daly out of UT Arlington. This battle has been going on for a few laps, and I think Nicholas Daly is just feeling the pressure a little bit here. He looks to be a bit over the road, all over the place. Sometimes it looks like he's not quite stable driving that car, as really Jordan Johnson's really getting underneath that rear wing. He's going to have a great slipstream down towards turn 1 here. We'll see if Jordan Johnson can get this move done under braking into turn 1. Up to the Andretti hairpin now. Jordan Johnson, he's going to be looking to the outside here, actually. Surprising, because this double apex corner, it's so difficult to pass on the outside, but Nicholas Daly does a really good job defending that inside line, making sure Johnson couldn't get the run out of the corner as they go through turn 3 now. Jordan Johnson still under that rear wing. These two have been battling for a good while now. There was a bit of a break when Jordan Johnson went a bit wide in one of the corners and went off-roading rally style, but Jordan Johnson, he definitely smells a victory tonight as they go through turn 5 now, up towards turn 6. Oh, so important turn 6. You got to have a great exit to set yourself up into the corkscrew. We'll see if these drivers can do that now as Jordan Johnson Great exit. We'll see if he can catch up to the back of Nicholas Daly into the corkscrew. We'll see how brave these drivers are in the break into the corkscrew, as Daly does a great job defending again, not putting a wheel wrong so far. The corkscrew is definitely a place where it's so easy to make a mistake, and you can definitely lose a lot of time there. Through the last corner again, Nicholas Daly leads another lap as we are now past halfway in this first race of the evening. Nicholas Daly, out of the University of Texas at Arlington, still defending here from Jordan Johnson. Couple tenths quicker that last lap by, but Muhammad Alif a bit quicker than Johnson. So we'll see if these three continue to stick nose to tail here, or if something splits these guys up. You see a lot of mistakes through the field right now. A lot of cars have crashed out. This is such a tough track to be on the limit at. You know, a lot of places you can dip a tire off the track and there might be asphalt. Some Formula One tracks, for example, there's, places like France. We see both Muhammad Alif and Jordan Johnson spins out of turn 6. We were just mentioning how easy it is to dip a tire into the dirt here at Laguna Seca, and we just saw that live, folks. Jordan Johnson, after hustling the back of Nicholas Daly, has an unforced error and it just drops down the field right now. Able to get back on the track in P7 right behind Zachary DeWale, but that's going to be a costly mistake for Jordan Johnson. We'll see if we can get a replay of that here momentarily, folks. Yeah, as it looks like Jordan Johnson just off the track here on the gas too much, and he gets to the end of the curb there, and yeah, he just spins. No traction on the rear wheels, and he just self-spins. That's such an easy thing to do in turn 6 here at Laguna Seca. Does a good job of keeping out of the wall, though, and he's able to continue on. Currently sitting in P7 right now behind Zachary DeWale. We'll see if Jordan Johnson can make up some spots from there. Further back to the field, Parker Eaton hustling the back of Athena Leclerc. Athena Leclerc out of St. Clair College, currently sitting in the 10th position, Parker Eaton 11th, but not for long, as Parker Eaton might have the inside line into the Andretti hairpin a bit earlier on the brakes, but that inside line, oh so powerful at that double apex corner. Parker Eaton is making the move for 10th spot. And currently sitting in 12th position, Andrew Williams out of the University of Clemson is our reverse grid pole holder at the moment. But behind him, Daniel Hunter, he had a bit of an incident earlier, I believe, and that's put him further back in the pack. Andrew Williams started 24th. He's up 12 spots in this race, but Daniel Hunter, he's down 3, so Hunter's definitely going to be trying to get that reverse grid pole after losing a few spots earlier in this race. Parker Eaton and Athena Leclerc are still going side by side here through turn 6. Parker Eaton had the inside line, and Athena Leclerc had the lift. So you can't really go side by side through that corner. It's going to be all focused on exit. As we look back, Andrew Williams, oh, it looks like Daniel Hunter spins. He had way wily on the brakes going into the corkscrew, and he spins right in front of Andrew Williams. Can't get it slowed down in time for the corners. Andrew Williams just punts him out of the way as punishment for trying to overtake him. I think Daniel Hunter actually did good to recover from that spin. We're going to see a replay of that here in a second. Oh, excuse me. Coming up to the corkscrew here, Daniel Hunter just on the brakes, I think loses it, and it's so tricky. Yeah, coming up to the brakes, rear end is gone already. He's trying to brake, but absolutely no stopping power right now as we take a look at what happened here. Yeah, it looks like he just spins right in front of Andrew Williams and unfortunately gets absolutely punted out of the way by Andrew Williams. No thank you, goodbye. But it really helped him out in the end because it put him the right way on the track and was just able to gas it up and keep going. So Andrew Williams being a good Samaritan and helping Daniel Hunter out of his spin. So now these two are going back at it, though, for that reverse grid pole right now. Currently the closest battle on track after Nicholas Daly was pulled away a little bit from Muhammad Alif at the front of the field, a couple tenths of a second. Those two are still close, though. But Andrew Williams out of the University of Clemson, Clemson University, going back into the corkscrew, hoping he doesn't have to punt Daniel Hunter out of the way again to make it to the corner, but that's just not the case this time around. You look back up towards the front right now. It looks like we might have had a mistake. No, it's just a weird timing screen error. Nicholas Daly still in the lead at the front, followed by R. Muhammad Alif about 0.8 of a second behind. Nicholas Daly has done a fantastic job so far, leading from start to currently 15 minutes into this race, 3/4 of the way through. Off of the pole position, he led into the first corner, and he's done really well to defend under some immense pressure from R. Muhammad Alif, Jordan Johnson, really quick drivers, and I think Nicholas Daly is really showing his skills here right now. As we look back through the field, it looks like there might have been a crash or an incident for that 12th spot we were looking at earlier. It looks like someone spun in front of the leaders there. It looks like Andrew Williams still currently sitting in the 12th spot right now. Timing screen's going a bit weird just because so many drivers are out of this race. It's so difficult for iRacing to kind of keep up with different drivers. But Andrew Williams still sitting in the 12th spot right now, doing a good job of defending from Daniel Hunter out of St. Clair College. These are both students, so Andrew Williams currently up 12 spots. So he really wants to hold on to that reverse grid pole right now because he believes that, it looks like Daniel Hunter really sent one down the inside there. The corkscrew was not expecting that move, and I don't think Andrew Williams was either. Daniel Hunter, I don't know if he was just messed up on the brakes or if he was really trying to send a dive bomb down in there like we saw it from Romain Grosjean in IndyCar last year in 2021. We saw him make some amazing moves down there. But really optimistic on the brakes. I think maybe a bit too optimistic almost. Looking back towards the front of the field right now, Chris Preston currently sitting in that third position. Chris Preston, I think we saw him earlier out of Fanshawe College, doing a great job of just kind of maintaining his pace, not getting into any mistakes, not spinning out or anything along those lines, which is so easy to do here at Laguna Seca. I wouldn't say it's a race of survival more than just a race of kind of pacing yourself around here. You might imagine at races of attrition, maybe like places like Long Beach, places that have more, I would say, dangerous elements. Here at Laguna Seca, you have dangerous elements in the lack of runoff. But the runoff you do have, the gravel, the dirt, the walls are very far away from a lot of those. So you can spin and lose a lot of time and still continue, but I think it's just managing the pace and not over driving is really the key to some of these drivers' races right now. As we look back up through the field, back to our leaders, R. Muhammad Alif currently sitting in second position. Still a couple tenths behind Nicholas Daly, who's our leader right now. But looking back, looks like we have a bit of some action back here. Colin Culpa out of Indiana and Andrew Williams are racing for the 14th and 15th position. Looks like Colin Culpa getting way loose. He's going into the pit lane, but saves it before anything of note happens there. A little bit of a wild ride there, but Andrew Williams lost some positions. It looks like he might have spun or went off the track or something. And Colin Culpa now under pressure from Austin DeLong behind, out of the Pennsylvania College of Technology in that blue 22 machine. He has the inside line going into the Andretti hairpin, and he's able to be later in the brakes and is able to... Oh, there's a car on the inside of the apex. Wow, that was close for those two drivers. That was almost disaster. Looks like maybe a car coming out of the pit spun, but Austin DeLong really had to back out of it, and that gave Colin Culpa the chance to make a move or continue to hold on to his 13th spot right now. There's a lot of action through the field. The timing screens are just going crazy right now for some reason. I don't know if we had an accident up the front. We'll have to double check that. No, Nicholas Daly still in the lead. We'll have to go through and see what the hell, what's going on with iRacing there. Excuse my language. But still at the front, Nicholas Daly, I believe he got the white flag this time by. So he has one lap to go here around Laguna Seca. Can he hold on to the lead from R. Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University? A few corners to go here. Done a great job so far coping with all the pressure in race one. I'm sure that race two is not even on his mind right now. He just wants to get this victory and put himself on the top step of the podium for race one. Through turn 5 now, he's got it done smooth. That car looks so underneath Nicholas Daly right now. Through turn 6, the fast left-hander. So many cars have tripped up here tonight so far, and we're going to see even more in race 2. But up to the iconic corkscrew, Nicholas Daly holding off R. Muhammad Alif, 8 tenths behind right now on the braking. Looks like there might have been a spin or something up here in the corkscrew, but Nicholas Daly does not come across any worrying traffic as he enters the final set of corners now in the last sector of the track. Nicholas Daly has done a fantastic job of managing this race so far. We have seen him undercome pressure from multiple drivers. He had a great start, and he's really managed this race from start to finish so far. But Nicholas Daly is coming across the last corner now, coming to the line. Nicholas Daly is going to be your race 1 winner tonight here in the West Coast GP. Behind him, Muhammad Alif 6/10 behind. And there's a bit of a battle going on for that 3rd position right now. It looks like the car who was in 3rd, Chris Preston, spun or something, but Ted Burns out of the University of Wisconsin, a real life racer, by the way, comes across the line in 3rd. Thomas Toomey from University of Virginia in 4th. Chris Preston in 5th. Jordan Johnson in 6th. We saw him have a spin from 2nd earlier. Zachary DeWale in 7th. Jeremy Rogers in 8th. Parker Eaton out of NC State University in 9th. Athena Leclerc out of St. Clair College coming across the line in 10th, with her teammate Daniel Hunter following up behind her. And Andrew Williams out of Clemson University is going to be coming out that last corner now. He will be your reverse grid pole holder for race 2 of the night. Andrew Williams, 12th in race 1, starting race 2 in 1st. Great race from Andrew Williams there, up 12 spots from his starting position of 24th. 13th, Austin DeLong. 14th, Zach Lindler, and Tyler Stone comes across the line 15th. Colin Culpa, we saw him have a bit of some fight in him in 16th. Louis Diaz in 17th, and Christian Hill in 18th. Thomas Crump, 19th, and Rhett Crane, 20th. 21st is Joshua Teagues, and Andrew Pacini in 22nd. Rounds out your finishers who crossed the line. So definitely an eventful race 1 here. I think the drivers are going to have a bit of a moment to catch their breath before race 2. Warm up and try to figure out what's working best for them. While these drivers warm up and try to catch their breath between race 1 and race 2, we're going to take a quick minute and a half, 2-minute break, let these drivers warm up, and we'll be right back with you folks. As we come back to our drivers now, currently warming up for the next race, race 2 of the evening. As mentioned previously earlier in the broadcast, the second race of the evening will feature a reversed grid from the first race. So if you finished in the top 12 of race 1, your position to start race 2 is going to be inverted. So if you started 12th, if you finished 12th in race 1, you're going to be starting on that pole position for race 2. And if you won race 1, as our winner Nicholas Daly did, we'll be starting all the way back in 12th position. This gives our drivers a bit of an opportunity to mix it up and really overtake one another. Give some good side-by-side racing action. As we see a car coming across the corkscrew now, such an iconic corner. Really, you can't beat it. It feels like a multiple story drop. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but the compression and the car coming over the crest into the corkscrew, really one of those corners that challenges not only driver but machine. And like, how's your suspension setup work, and how are you entering the corner? Are you on the brakes? Are you trailing into the corner? Are you loading and deloading the springs and suspension properly to get the best possible exit and entry into that corner? It's such a tricky corner, and there's a reason why drivers love it. Drivers don't like easy tracks. Drivers want to be challenged. Sometimes maybe not too much, but they want a little bit of a challenge to really allow them to highlight their skills. As we see Ethan Head here out of the University of Tennessee in the 8 machine, excuse me, coming into the corkscrew now. Does a great job of getting the car slowed down. Maybe going a little bit slow to kind of find his limits. We see that sometimes it's like out laps or really just scouting laps. As we have about a minute left in this warm up session here. Looking at Ethan Walters right now. Ethan Walters looks like he's out of Ohio State University. That Buckeye machine. Excuse me, I said Ohio State University. It should be the Ohio State University. They trademarked that, so gotta say it by the proper name now. As we see a few other drivers around, Nicholas Stockner out of Clemson University. Looks like some of their team names are not showing up properly on the. Oh, a little bit of a spin there. Backs it down the corkscrew, but loses the front wing too. Looking like Alex Albon. Oh, well, there's the wing again. That's some David Blaine magician work right there. I'm a little surprised it came off in the first place, so I guess it was just some iRacing quirk in the system showing us he's missing a wing. But as the warm-up session winds down here, we're going to be able to see our grid for race 2 of the evening. Remember, your top 12 have been inverted from race 1, so looking at Nicholas Stockner, really just drifted into the corner there as the timer winds down as we get into the grid for race 2 for the evening. Let's see if it shows. There it goes. Excuse me, it might have been the top. I apologize. I think I had the invert wrong tonight. I think in the past it's been top 10 or top 12, but it has been flipped for tonight. The top 10 has been inverted. I do apologize for any confusions that has caused. But Martina Leclerc finished your race 1 in 10th position, so she starts from pole position for race 2. Parker Eaton finished race 1 in 9th and will start 2nd from NC State. Jeremy Rogers and Zachary DeWale round out your row 2 with Jordan Johnson and Thomas Toomey in row 3. Ted Burns and Chris Preston round out row 4, and R. Muhammad Ali from the inside of Nicholas Daly in row 5. Those are your top 10 inverted from race 1. Daniel Hunter and Andrew Williams just missed out on the top 10 earlier in race 1 as we continue the gridding process here. So we'll see from the front of the field right now. Athena Leclerc out of St. Clair College in that 61 machine. Drivers revving their engine, getting ready to go for race 2 of the evening. And race 2 is now green as Athena Leclerc gets a great start. Parker Eaton slow off the line behind Jeremy Rogers, already up into 2nd place right now. But Parker Eaton's going to be fighting that one back on the outside. Athena Leclerc leads down into turn 1 as they go 4 wide behind him. It looks like Nicholas Daly was on the outside in the dirt almost as they go 3 wide in turn 1. Athena Leclerc went deep into turn 1 and spun. Athena Leclerc, our pole position setter for race 2, is spinning in turn 2 actually. Looks like Jordan Johnson's going to be leading from here. Parker Eaton still fighting on to that 2nd position. He's on the inside of Jeremy Rogers, but he's able to hold on to that position as Zachary DeWale sneaks up the inside of Jeremy Rogers as well. Athena Leclerc spins in the Andretti hairpin in turn 1 and 2. Tough break for her. She just got a little too deep on the brakes, maybe too focused in her mirrors, but that's really unfortunate for her. As we see the battles throughout the field right now, Jordan Johnson leads Parker Eaton and Zachary DeWale. Parker Eaton had a very, very poor start, but he's able to recover and still hold on to 2nd after starting in 2nd. Ted Burns, our race 1 podium finisher, he's on the outside right now. It looks like Chris Preston trying to regain some position to really show off his speed. He goes on the inside. It looks like turn 8 there. Great move if he can get it done. But they're still going side by side into turn 9. I believe that's turn 10. I can't count tonight. And they're still going side by side into the final corner of this track. Looks like a little over-under action there potentially from Chris Preston. Chris Preston gave him the inside line, but cut back on the last corner and really got a good exit out of turn 11. These cars still go side by side down into the Andretti hairpin, which is officially labeled as turn 2, but really it's the first turn, as Ted Burns has to give that one up as Chris Preston hard on the brakes and is able to get them continue to hold on to 6th position for now. For the back, looks like A little St. Clair College action right now with Daniel Hunter and Zach Lindler going side by side. Daniel Hunter out of St. Clair College and Zach Lindler out of Clemson University. Fighting it out for 10th and 11th position right now. Daniel Hunter holding on to that top 10 spot at the moment. Up at the front, Jordan Johnson's really stretching those legs. Pulled out a second lead on Parker Eaton right now. We saw Jordan Johnson spin in the first race, so he's trying to make up some points for his mistake earlier on. Back towards the front of the field, Zachary DeWale currently sitting in third position, that last podium spot, being hustled by R. Muhammad Alif at the moment. Alif had a pretty strong race one, finishing in second position. They're now trying to do it again and try to see if he can finish on the podium for both races tonight, as he's really hustling the back of DeWale right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see a late move into turn one into the Andretti hairpin. Around the outside, Alif goes. It's going to be tough to do it from the outside, but DeWale hardened the brakes, but Alif carries so much speed around the outside. There's a lot of room out there on the asphalt to really get the move done as they continue to go side by side, and Alif is able to pull out in front of DeWale and hold on to that third position out of the corner, out of the Andretti hairpin. Cars have slowly begun to spread themselves out. Up at the front of the field, Jordan Johnson with turn 6, Parker Eaton and Alif behind him. Then comes DeWale in the fourth spot. DeWale's going to have to contend with some pressure from Jeremy Rogers behind, maybe, if he's not careful. Currently, Alif is our biggest mover of race 2, up 6 spots. Actually, excuse me, a couple drivers up 7 spots. Rhett Crane started 19th and is now 12th. Looks like Gavin Keithley is actually up 9 spots, currently sitting at 17th. I think a lot of drivers right now are being a bit more within themselves, trying not to overdrive the car and dip a wheel onto the gravel or dirt. But as this race goes on, I'm sure we're going to see some drivers potentially get a bit more risky. And we see a bit of a train forming here with Ted Burns in the middle here. We saw Ted Burns trying to make a move on Chris Preston earlier, as we see R. Muhammad Alif set the fastest lap of the race that last time around with a 1:21.327. Slowly catching the back of Parker Eaton. There's a bit of a stack up here as Ted Burns looks like he's going to be looking on the inside of Chris Preston. Can't quite get there. And your race one winners behind him, Nicholas Daly in that blue 280 machine. These cars are all stacked up in a line. It's so difficult to overtake here. You got to take every opportunity you can. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a opportunistic lunge here in the next couple of laps or so. Up at the front, looks like our Alif is trying to make a move on Parker Eaton right now. Parker Eaton, that 112 machine out of NC State University. Alif maybe looking into the corkscrew here. He's going to think better of it, and he's going to try to sit behind. We did see Parker Eaton spin in the corkscrew in that last time around. We saw he wasn't anywhere as close to the gravel as he was when he spun the first race. Back through the field, looks like Chris Preston is off towards... He's off the track right now. He's going to lose tons of spots. Looks like that's out of turn, maybe turn 10, turn 9, up towards the pit lane. He's going to lose a lot of positions there, just a little bit wide. As we see, Alif has made a move towards the inside of Parker Eaton, going up towards turn 1 and the Andretti hairpin. But Parker Eaton, he's going to try to fight this one, and he's going to be late on the brakes when he can. But looks like Alif is going to be able to get the move done into the corner, and he's going to move himself up into second spot. And he's going to start to chase down Jordan Johnson out of Kent State University now. But Parker Eaton still currently sitting in that podium position right now. That'd be a good recovery from him after a spin in race 1. For the back of the field, we look at our race 1 winner, Nicholas Daly out of UT Arlington. Currently trying to defend off another Texas alumni, or I shouldn't say Texas alumni, but college out of Texas alumni. That's Jeremy Rogers from Texas A&M University. I don't think either of those two schools, like the Texas we all know as the UT Austin, the Longhorns, I don't think either of them really appreciate that school. But I'm sure UT Arlington and Texas A&M both want to say they're the better Texas schools. We see Jeremy Rogers lock up his left front tire a little bit there into the corkscrew. That's very easy to do with the loading and unloading down the compression. As Thomas Toomey is giving a look to Jeremy Rogers right now. Toomey is really hustling the back of that Texas A&M machine. All three of these cars right here are alumni. Excuse me, actually four. Ted Burns through Thomas Toomey, all alumni. Really looks like a lot of alumni drivers leading the pack tonight. Experience in the CiL might be shown here as R. Muhammad Alif sets another fastest lap that time around with a 1:21.276. He's really going to be chasing down Jordan Johnson, but it's going to be a tough task given the pace we saw out of Jordan Johnson in race 1. Jordan Johnson was quick, was just unable to overtake Nicholas Daly for the lead, and then really gave himself, or had a mistake in turn 6, that fast left-hander leading to the corkscrew, and that really took him out of contention for the win in race 1, but Jordan Johnson does have a lot of pace in that car. I wouldn't be surprised if he's holding back just a touch in race 2. Looking at Ted Burns right now. Finished on the podium in race 1. Currently under a little bit of pressure from Nicholas Daly. Not too much right now, but enough to definitely have him be thinking to look in his mirrors if he thinks he's close down some of these straightaways. Looks like Luis Diaz went off the track a little bit while ago. He's currently sitting in 11th position, but he might be dropping now in a moment because he went off the track. We'll see. Look further back to the field. Looks like Alex Pacini out of University Federal de Santa Maria. That's out of Brazil. Looks like he tucks in behind Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz, I think he was sitting in 10th position, lost a couple spots due to a mistake. Yeah, 128 that last time around. He definitely lost a lot of time as Pacini really sends it around the outside of the Andretti hairpin there, deep on the brakes. So difficult to get a move down on the outside if you're not a little bit ahead going into the corner, but he tried it. He thought better of it. Now looking at Christian Hill out of Mount St. Mary's University. Under a little bit of pressure now from Luis Diaz. I think Diaz is wanting to make up for his mistake that sent him off the track a little bit. I think Christian Hill is going to be under pressure here coming through turn 6 and up to the corkscrew. Luis Diaz is going to be making an ambitious run here. Looks like he has the run. He's going to try to tuck to the inside, going up the hill to the corkscrew. Luis Diaz on the inside, Christian Hill on the outside. Looks like Diaz backs out of it a little bit, and that almost puts him in the sights of Alexander Pacini as Christian Hill locked up into the corkscrew there, actually. These guys going at it for 10th, 11th, and 12th position right now. Excuse me. 11th, 12th, and 13th position, as we see Pacini in the far back there. He gets off the track. He's really loose. We kind of lose him for a second there, but we'll see what happens. I think he was able to hold on to it, come back on the track. He's lost a couple of tenths, though, as Luis Diaz is going to have the slipstream down to the Andretti hairpin now. Looks like Diaz to the inside, but Christian Hill's going to be defending hard here, deep on the brakes. It looks like Diaz is still going to be there side by side, but coming out of the Andretti hairpin, Diaz is going to be slightly ahead, but that got a good run, Christian Hill, and it looks like these two almost make contact in turn 3, but is able to just keep it out of one another. As we look towards the front, Nicholas Daly here is currently leading this pack still. These guys have closed up a little bit more. Alumni currently sitting 3 through 7 right now on the position table. These guys are so close. These guys are all veterans of the CiL. They all know each other so well. They know how they race. It's going to be a fight to the finish here for these alumni. A lot of pride in racing for these guys. And, you know, some people, Ted Burns here is sitting second in this line in that black machine, that black 081 machine. He's a real-life racer. He's out of the University of Wisconsin. He races Formula V and when he can, and he's got real-life experience in a light open-wheel style car. So if we look at the front of the field, it looks like Jordan Johnson set the race fastest lap time last time around at a 1:21.26. We were talking earlier about Alif setting a couple of fastest laps earlier, and I think Jordan Johnson has realized that and responded now, and he's going to try to keep that gap at over 2.5 seconds as he can do so. Oh, we got a bit of an alumni train going along. Choo-choo, Nicholas Daly at the front with Ted Burns, Jeremy Rogers, and Thomas Toomey falling in behind right now. Looking back towards Louis Diaz. Diaz is on the back rear wing of Christian Hill again. These two have been going at it for a couple laps now. I think Louis Diaz is probably getting a little bit impatient. He's going to have to get opportunistic as he looks to the inside of turn 5 here. That's such a tough place to overtake, but he looks like he gets it done. What an incredible move there. Deep on the brakes. He's going to have to try to hold this off into turn 6. If he can get the exit here, he can definitely hold on to the position through the corkscrew, and it looks like he does. Christian Hill might be a bit shaken. It's now under pressure from Alexander Pacini. Pacini is going to be looking to the outside of the corkscrew, now the inside, but he's going to tuck into that rear wing of Christian Hill and just gets it done, just gets the brakes applied for the corkscrew. But fantastic move from Louis Diaz there into turn 5. You got to be brave to make that move work because it's almost like a sweeping left-hander. You don't really have to get on the brakes that much, especially in these higher downforce cars they're so light. Even though the downforce is not as comparable to like an F3 car or something like that, these cars still make a good amount of downforce for the power they have, as well as the weight of the cars. You know, it's definitely something to be beholden with. Looking back up at our alumni train, Nicholas Daly has started to pull out of a bit of a gap here now. Looks like Daly's about 1.1 seconds ahead of Rogers, who's now under a little bit of pressure. 1.1 ahead of Ted Burns, and a little bit under pressure from Jeremy Rogers at the moment. Jeremy Rogers up towards the corkscrew underneath the Bubba's Burgers banner. He gets on the brakes for the corkscrew. It's such a difficult corner, and really you can see it looks like we had a car spin there. It looks like it was Nicholas Stockner who's off the track on the left side of the corkscrew. He was he was at the back of the field. He wasn't really fighting for position with anyone, as Jeremy Rogers still hustles the back of Ted Burns right now. That was a great onboard shot through the corkscrew, really showing the elevation change through that corner. It's so difficult, especially because it's blind as well. You can't see where the track is, so you kind of just have to remember and hope. And just hope you don't put your wheels on the gravel. Looks like Jeremy Rogers, maybe a little bit of oversteer there on the Andretti hairpin, but he controls it nicely as he still chases down Ted Burns for that 5th position. Going back to that battle we saw earlier with Christian Hill, Louis Diaz, and Alexander Pacini. Looks like Louis Diaz is a little bit wide there coming out of turn 3. Christian Hill's going to be taking advantage of that, making the move up the inside, and Pacini's going to try to make advantage of it as well. It looks like they're going to go too wide here, side by side, Pacini and Hill into turn 5. Louis Diaz on the brakes on the inside is able to get the move done, slide up in front of Pacini before Pacini could get any ideas around the outside of that corner, but Christian Hill regains that 10th position he lost a little bit earlier. These guys have been going at it for a couple laps now, and you know, a lot of clean racing, a lot of very brave racing, as Pacini looks like he maybe thought about going down the inside of the corkscrew, but decided not to, as he's still 5 minutes left in this race. He's at the front of the field. Muhammad Ali seems to have pulled down a bit of a gap to Jordan Johnson. He's about 8 or 9 tenths quicker that last lap around. And Nicholas Daly set the fastest lap of the race with a 121.125. So I think Nicholas Daly is definitely stretching his legs over that alumni train we saw earlier, as the conductor of the train takes command in Nicholas Daly. He tries to chase down Parker Eaton for 3rd position in that podium spot, as we see Christian Hill under pressure from Louis Diaz again, and Louis Diaz, he's going to try to go around the outside of the Andretti hairpin as Christian Hill really closed the inside lane, but it looks like behind him Pacini spins. He's out of this fight right now, but he's going to be able to continue on. Did not hit the wall or anything, but Louis Diaz really hustling Christian Hill here. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him move into turn 5 like we did a few laps ago. Up to turn 5. Looks like Louis Diaz is going to look inside. Look outside. He's sent the dummy. Looks like Diaz is going to be so tight on this line. Diaz might have a really good exit here, and he might be able to get the move done into turn 6. And he's going to do it, or he's going to think about it. Maybe not quite do it, as Diaz is on the outside here. He's going to get a great run on Christian Hill up through the corkscrew. We'll have to see how this goes as Hill goes defensive again. He's not giving up that fight, and it looks like Diaz is going to have to go for the outside if he's want to move into the corkscrew. Might try a little bit of an over-under here, but can't quite get it done, as Christian Hill is defending for all he's got right now. As we come to about 3 minutes to go in this race right now, Jordan Johnson is still holding about a 1.6 second lead over our Muhammad Ali. Christian Hill goes inside in the last corner, trying to hold defensive from Louis Diaz, but Louis Diaz is going to have a great exit here. He's going to have a fantastic chance into the Andretti hairpin. Christian Hill is hugging that inside line for all he's got. And it looks like Louis Diaz is forced to the pit lane almost as he wants to hold that inside line. Maybe lost his front wing there, so Louis Diaz might be in a lot of trouble. The stewards might have something to say about that, as forcing another driver off the track is a big no-no. As I think Louis Diaz is going to be feeling the effects of no front wing for the last 3 minutes of this race. Yeah, he's definitely feeling the effects right now as Louis Diaz spins in turn 3. He's able to keep it going, but no front wing is going to be a disaster for him for the rest of the race. As we look towards the front of the field, Nicholas Daly has caught Parker Eaton for that last podium position. Parker Eaton, I don't know if he had a mistake that last time around, but he was about 7/10 slower than Nicholas Daly. I think Nicholas Daly has just done a fantastic job of managing his tires. We'll probably have about 2 laps to go now as Jordan Johnson crosses the line right behind him, Muhammad Alif, and then Parker Eaton is coming across third with Nicholas Daly in close pursuit into the Andretti hairpin. Nicholas Daly thinks about sending one down the inside, but thinks better of it. Parker Eaton continues to lead. Probably about 2 laps remaining here still. It just looks like Parker Eaton doesn't have the grip in the tires. I think Parker Eaton's probably used his stuff up a bit too early as Nicholas Daly is looking for 2 podiums tonight as they come up to turn 5. Great onboard shot here with Nicholas Daly. Really shows you how sweeping this corner is. You really have to use as little brake as possible and get on the gas as early as possible as they come up to turn 6 right now. It's such a tough corner. It's really hard to follow here too, just because not only are you in the dirty air of the car in front of you, but you also can't see your apexes. You can't see the corner exit. Makes it really difficult for following cars. As Parker Eaton does a good job through the corkscrew, getting that car rotated. As it looks like Jordan Johnson is going to be coming across to finish the penultimate lap momentarily now. Parker Eaton's really trying to hold on to this podium spot. It'd be a great way to end the night for him after a mistake in race 1, but Nicholas Daly's not going to give that up. As we look at Jordan Johnson now, he crosses the line to start his final lap of the night, going back to our battle between Eaton and Daly, these 2 alumni. Scrumming it out right now. Nicholas Daly up 6 spots, but Parker Eaton lost a spot since the start of this race. But Parker Eaton is going to do a good job to defend into the Andretti hairpin here. Really the best overtaking spot on the track, as it looks like Thomas Toomey and Jeremy Rogers behind are going at it here. Excuse me, it looks like Chris Preston on the inside, Thomas Toomey on the outside in that white Formula 4 car. Back up towards Parker Eaton. Parker Eaton and Nicholas Daly continue to be 3-4 in that order. As Daly tries to find a move, he might send one in the corkscrew here, but that'd be a very risky move. You don't want to incur a penalty, and you just want to soak up all the points you can get if you can. Not risk 0 points out of this race. We'll take a look at Parker Eaton through the corkscrew here. Looks like Nicholas Daly's going to try to make a move maybe. He's looking, but he can't find anything, as it looks like Daly's going to have to settle. But Parker Eaton a little bit on the gravel there through the corkscrew, but we go back to our leader, Jordan Johnson. Jordan Johnson has done a great job through this race. He's able to gather up the lead early on in this race, and he's held it throughout, as we see a car spinning on the inside of the corner there. But Jordan Johnson comes out of the final corner in the lead, and he's going to cross the line to win race 2 of the West Coast Grand Prix in the CiL Formula C Series, as Muhammad Alif follows up behind us. Parker Eaton crosses the line in 3rd position to take a podium for NC State University, with Nick Daly following up his win in race 1 with the 4th place in race 2. Looks like Ted Burns finishes up in 4th, and looks like Daniel Hunter and Thomas Toomey had a bit of a scrap going through. Thomas Toomey, super slow coming out of the last corner. I don't know what happened to him, if he spun or whatnot, but looks like he crashed. We'll get a replay of that momentarily, but rounding out your top 10, Christian Hill, we saw him have a momentous battle with Louis Diaz, but Louis Diaz lost his front wing earlier on in that battle, hitting the cones on pit lane. So unfortunately, that battle ended prematurely as Andrew Williams comes across the line in 11th for Clemson University. We're going to take a look at what happened to Thomas Toomey out of that last corner there. It looks like Thomas Toomey on the inside of Chris Preston maybe was really trying to get that spot. We'll take a look here. Oh, uh-oh. Someone's missing. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, it looks like Thomas Toomey was trying to go up the inside of Chris Preston in the penultimate corner, fighting for uh, what I believe to be sixth or seventh position, and unfortunately uh, locked up the brakes and just got into the side of Chris Preston. And that I wouldn't say that ruined their race, but it's definitely unfortunate because I think they could have had more points if they did not wreck. It looks like Chris Preston did finish in front of Thomas Toomey. I think Toomey felt bad about wrecking Preston there, and I think he let him have the position. That's why Toomey was so slow coming out of the corner there. But we're going to try to hear from some of our uh, podium finishers tonight. We take a look with Jordan Johnson. He's doing burnouts in the front stretch as he should. Well earned victory for Jordan Johnson tonight in race two. Did a good job of making his way through the field. A little unfortunate in race one to have a little bit of a spin, but I think he definitely made up for it with a solid race two. We'll be hearing from our race two podium finishers here momentarily. Let's take a moment to look at the results from race two, the final finishing order. This is race one. Here we go. Our feature results from race two tonight. Jordan Johnson out of Kent State University is your winner. Art Muhammad Ali rounds out a great night with two P2 finishes from Ball State in second. Parker Eaton out of NC State University, the alumni, finishes third. Nick Daly, our race one winner, finishes fourth in race two out of University of Texas at Arlington, and Ted Burns from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in fifth. Daniel Hunter, Jeremy Rogers round out your sixth and seventh place runners. Chris Preston and Thomas Toomey are eighth and ninth. We saw them come together in the last corner of race two. Christian Hill finishes in your top 10 for race two with Andrew Williams from Clemson in 11th. Tyler Stone out of St. Clair College is in 12th, with Joshua Teagues from Buena Vista University in 13th. Athena Leclerc out of St. Clair College in 14th, and Alexander Pacini, we saw him have a spin in race two, finishing 15th. Gavin Keesley from UMN finishing 16th, with Colin Culpa from Indiana in 17th, and Rhett Crane finishing a lap down in 18th. 19th was Ethan Head out of the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Also one lap down with Nick Stockner from Clemson being two laps down. Louis Diaz, we saw him lose a front wing tonight in 21st out of Florida International, with a couple of our drivers finishing multiple laps down, being Zach Lindler, Zachary DeWale, Ethan Walters, Austin DeLong, Alexander Hogarth, and Thomas Crump. Well, we're going to take a moment to take a look or talk to our top finishers for the evening. We'll see if we can get any of them in here. Joining us, uh-oh. We'll see if we can get them in here. Joining us now in the booth is Parker Eaton out of NC State University. Parker, congratulations on a podium finish in race two tonight. What was your strategy going into race two, knowing you were going to be starting on the front row?
Just keep up the pace because I knew some fast guys were behind me. I guess the strategy to get a podium against these two is spin yourself in race one, start first or second race two, and then just survive. So glad it worked out. It's been a long time since I've been in the broadcast booth, but it's nice to be back.
Yeah, absolutely, Parker. It's always great to have you up here in the booth. I know it's been a while, but do we expect to see you in more CIL Formula C Series races later on in the season?
Yeah, absolutely. Plan to do the whole season. So love it so far. Drives a lot like FSAE, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, Parker, congratulations again on your podium finish in race two. Before we send you on your way, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out for your podium tonight?
I want to shout out you, Matthew, for holding it down in the broadcast booth and representing the pack.
Thank you, Parker. Well, congratulations again, and have a good rest of your evening.
All right, thanks. You too, man.
That was Parker Eaton out of NC State University, a fellow Wolfpack alum, rounding out your third place finisher for race two tonight. Joining us in the booth now, it's going to be Jordan Johnson out of Kent State University. Jordan, congratulations on your race two victory. We saw you spin in race one trying to chase down that first spot. What can you tell us about your strategy going into race two?
Yeah, I honestly, as much as that spin sucked, I kind of felt like as soon as I got back in and was in the top 10, the race was kind of mine to take. Most of these races, especially our heat races, have been kind of decided by who gets the first. Uh, and from there, it's just you're losing too much time with traffic. So I wasn't really worried about the second race. I was really beating myself up for that first race because, to be completely frank, I felt like I had the fastest car out there today. I was so strong going through every corner. I felt like I could catch anyone up anywhere. But I kept struggling with bottoming, and that was part of my issue going into the kink. And I should have rectified it and just backed out of that corner a bit more because I think anyone could have seen that that was coming, that I was going to have some kind of issue there, whether it be a spin or another big excursion. I mean, it kept happening. So I'm really mad at myself for letting that happen because I think anyone and their grandmother could have seen that incident coming. But race two, I mean, it was just smooth sailing, get to the front and get there first, and I should be in a good spot for the rest of the race.
Yeah, Jordan, we saw some comments out of you earlier tonight where you mentioned that uh, this is a fixed setup race for those of you at home who don't know. So every driver uses the same setup. You said that this was, quote, the worst iRacing set I've ever driven, honestly. And that's a quote. Uh, how do you change your driving style with regards to how the setup is every night and how it differs from maybe one track favors a bit understeer or one track favors a bit oversteer?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have my preferences too, but I mean, any fast driver will tell you that they constantly adjusting your driving style, and there's not really much of one there in the first place. It's you drive the car how it needs to be driven to go fastest, and some tracks require you to drive it more on the nose and some more in the rear. Um, Unfortunately for me, as it was quite obvious, I couldn't adjust to what the set was doing to me through the kink, and it came back to bite me, even though, and it probably should have done it more often than once because I had gone off track there. I probably was close to double digits times the amount of times I had all four wheels off track coming out of that kink. So it's unfortunate. It is what it is. That's racing, and on to the next.
Well, Jordan, congratulations on your race two victory tonight. Before we send you on your way, is there anybody you want to thank or shout out?
Just my team, Pure Sims Esports, and our partners and sponsors, SimLab, Cube Controls, Sim Sports, OBP Esports, Night Rider Signs, and FreeM. Um, couldn't do any of this without them and the help that they've given me. So just want to give them a nice shout out and thank them for everything they've given us.
Well, Jordan, once again, congratulations. I hope you have a great evening and take it easy tonight.
Thank you too.
That was our race two winner. Jordan Johnson had an unfortunate spin in race one, but set him up nicely to take the victory in race two. Lastly, joining us in the booth is our race one and race two runner up, R. Muhammad Alif. Alif, you did a great job out there tonight, having well managed and well paced races. Uh, Go ahead, talk us through what was your strategy trying to get through some of these races, and how hard were you fighting for that victory in race one and race two?
Hey guys, yeah, it was hard fought. I knew that Nicholas and Jordan Johnson are really quick drivers. So I mean, for race two, I had to get my elbows out and push forward and try chasing Jordan down. But it wasn't. Yeah, I guess we ran out of time. But yeah, all in all, it was a good round. I'd say good points, good round, and yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, Alif, we saw you setting some pretty fast lap times in race two, trying to chase down Jordan Johnson. Uh, Between knowing that you had a very, very good points night tonight in terms of championship battle, were you focused on trying to chase down for the win in race two, or were you just focused on bringing the car home safely? We saw a lot of cars tonight, especially in turn six and I believe turn five, have incidents. Were you worried about how the car was reacting in those corners and if you were going to spin trying to chase down the leaders?
I think naturally as a racing driver you want to win everything. So I was just pushing myself while also like just holding myself back at those like riskier corners like corkscrew and the corner before the corkscrew down just before the Rayhouse straight. But yeah, I mean other than that, yeah, I was just like metal pedal to the metal. I don't know if I said that right. I've been feeling sick, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it was. I was just like pushing myself to try to keep up with Jordan and to see if I could close up the gap. I think at the end it was like 1.2 seconds, 1.3 seconds. But yeah, I mean, it was good fun.
Well, Alif, once again, congratulations. You had a very great points night in terms of the championship standing. 2 second-place finishes. Before we send you on your way, is anybody you want to thank or shout out tonight on the broadcast?
Oh yeah, definitely. My Ball State esports team, the teammates, director Dan Marino, and everyone, all my supporters, on my friends who are watching, my family who might be watching. It's like 12 hours back in Singapore, so I'm not sure if they're sleeping or watching, but yeah, just a big shout out to everyone who actually tuned in, and yeah, looking forward to tomorrow and 2 weeks time.
Well, Alif, congratulations once again. I hope you have a good evening and take it easy.
Thanks, man.
That was our race 2 runner-up and race 1 runner-up, for a matter of fact. That was R. Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University, originally from Singapore, now in the U.S. for university. Ball State University, great esports program down there. We see a lot of competitive cars coming from that school on both the road and oval side. But that will do it here from the CIL tonight at the West Coast Grand Prix at Laguna Seca. Join us tomorrow night, Tuesday night, at the same time, 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time, for the CIL GT3 Challenge. GT3 cars, similar format to the Formula C series. You'll have 2 races, 25-minute races rather than 20-minute races. It's going to be a good show. Those GT3 cars always put on a good show, and you'll see many of the same faces you saw tonight. You'll see Jordan Johnson, R. Muhammad Alif, uh, Thomas Toomey, Nicholas Daly. You'll see the whole lot. So if you like what you saw tonight, be sure to tune in tomorrow night at 8:50 p.m. Eastern. If you're more of an oval guy or gal, we got the CIL Oval Series next week taking place same time, Monday night Prospect Series. They'll be taking on the high banks of Talladega. So it's always a scary place. Talladega Terrors. Monday night Prospect Series racing their way into the Premier Series on Tuesday night. Expect to see some good racing there. But from myself, Matthew Nordberg, and this entire CIL staff, we want to thank you for tuning in tonight for this production of the Formula C Series. We hope to see you again tomorrow night or any other time, for a matter of fact, to watch the CIL. And thank you and have a good night.